Episode 506 is entitled Better to Marry Than Burn. This is all about Jocasta's wedding, obviously, and what's different in the show than the book is we have the addition of Murtagh.
We all loved the character and the way Duncan brought him to life. It really shined in the show, so we wanted to make sure that Jocasta married Duncan Innes. And how do you do that when she's in love with Murtagh? So we had to string together really, what we think is an organic way of making it happen, but also in Outlander tradition, causing people pain and anguish and making it hurt.
And Jocasta has such a heartbreaking past. I mean, she ultimately decides that she can't marry for love again. She has to marry for safety.
The scene between the two of them is so heartbreaking. It really is. And we rehearsed, I remember being there in rehearsal and talking about it, and talking to the director, Mira, who wanted them to really let this breathe and let it play out as long as possible. Don't worry about time. Let it be organic. And because you want people to feel with them the anguish. And this little love story that we get to tell, it's broken. It's not really meant to be. And then we have on the other side of the story we're telling, Jamie and Claire's story, where it is meant to be, and they work through everything to be together. And I think that's a good juxtaposition in the episode.
I love you, Jocasta Mackenzie. This world may change, but that will never change.
We had a lot of debate about, the rings. We always go through the book and you try to find these big moments. In this book, really, there was a lot of debate on what those moments are. But this is one of those moments where you look and you go, because Jamie and Claire don't often completely disagree. They may have different opinions, but this is one of those moments where you go, wait, this couple does not see eye to eye on this, and this is going to be a good dramatic moment. In Jamie's mind, it's trust me. If you trust me, you'll do this. And then she's saying on the other side, I do trust you, but I can't believe you're asking for these particular, for that ring.
He saw how much this ring means to me. Don't you see, I humiliated him, and this is his idea of revenge.
Whatever it is, if I win this game, we get to take revenge on a man much worse than Philip Wiley.
No.
Do you think the writer's room, it was split among male-female in terms of the men thinking, what's the big deal that Jamie's gambling with Frank's ring? And the women were like, that's crazy? Or
no, I think it was the exact opposite.
Really? That the women?
A lot of the men were like, I'm not asking that. I'm never going down that road.
Yeah.
And the women were like, why not? He's gonna, so it was really the exact opposite of what you would think. And we get that a lot in the writer's room. You think the men are gonna go, oh, I would just do that. And
it's true. Sometimes the men come up with the most romantic moments in the room. It's true. I'm not going to say the women don't. The women do as well, but
I always say men are super romantic.
they can.
I say women like romance, but men have to be romantic. This is what usually gets me kicked out of the room.
These rings will never leave your hands again. I swear it.
Episode 7, The Ballad of Roger Mack.
This is a great episode.
It is.
And a heartbreaking episode.
Every year we do that kind of big battle, and this is Alamance. The most heartbreaking thing is that Jamie has to go into this and fight, but not fight. Jamie is not gung-ho. And then also knowing that Murtagh's on the other side.
His blood will soak this ground!
I think in the beginning of the season, we always knew that Murtagh, his end would come at Alamance.
I called Duncan before the season started. He's such a lovely man, and he said, I kind of had a feeling. It's felt inevitable. It feels right. His performance throughout the season is fabulous, but the death scenes, we applauded him on being dead, and it's a tough thing to do.
It doesn't hurt a bit to die.
In the world of Outlander, Murtagh was really one of the intimate family. He's one of the people that know about the time travel.
I mean, he's one of the original characters, and we started out with, really, it's just Katrina and Sam, or Jamie and Claire that are left in terms of that original core group.
Take it back. I don't release you from your oath.
I mean, we all felt it when we were filming Sam, his performance. I think people will be really moved. And then just when you think it's over, you can't find Roger,
Anyone seen Roger and Mac?
No, I have no, Colonel.
and that leads us into the next half of the season.
Another key thing in this episode is Jamie putting on the red coat. We had a lot of discussions of he would never put on a red coat. That's not who Jamie is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, there was a lot of feelings on
Yeah.
the matter of
Yeah.
with Jamie, and we decided that Jamie could not put on the red coat. That Jamie had to be forced to put on the red coat.
Yeah.
Do me the honor.
You get invested in these characters in a way that sometimes you have tunnel vision in terms of storytelling and what characters you think would do or not do.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes that minor adjustment of, yes, Jamie being forced to put it on as opposed to Jamie willingly putting it on. It's a subtle difference, but it means everything. Another fun thing, obviously, that people will recognize in this episode is the return of Graham McTavish. It was Buck
Yes.
McKenzie that kind of came about in an odd way. We kind of were talking about it jokingly that it would be kind of funny to have Graham McTavish play this role. Buck McKenzie is Dougal's son
with Galis.
You know, we love Graham, so any chance to bring him back. But just kind of dismissed it a little, and then one of our Starz execs, Karen Bailey, called me and said, wouldn't it be great if Graham McTavish played this role? And I was
Yeah.
like, that's so funny. We were talking about that. And Matt and I called Graham, and he was so excited to come back.
Here he is. Buck. Is it Buck?
It is Buck.
What Graham has is such a distinctive voice. So I said, let's hear him first and not see him.
Get away from my wife.
You want to feel who that is first, and then you see him. It's like, is it him?
You know, keeping that a secret was obviously very difficult as well.
I think that's very cool that we did it.
Episode 508 is titled Famous Last Words.
I think this is one of those episodes, if you've just watched it, please take a breath and then rewatch it again. There's so much in it. You may miss something if you just let your emotions run away and you go, why did they do something? What we talked about is we wanted to get into Roger's head, and we wanted to have a device to get into Roger's head that was cinematic. And what we chose to do is this silent picture to show his trauma. And we were all nervous. Talked to the director, once again, Stephen Wolfenton directed this. We want you to film it in a silent picture way, but we also want you to film it, you know, in a more conventional way, just in case. When I first saw the cut, I was like, we don't need the conventional way because this is fantastic. Richard had to really dig in because as the result of being hanged, he doesn't have a voice. And although he's physically okay, he is emotionally so damaged by it. How we start the episode, though, was very important, that we wanted to show Roger. This is one of those flashbacks, seeing a person in his own time, but also using his gift. His gift is his voice.
People live and die by their words.
When you have the one thing that you think you're gifted taken away, who are you? That's the story of this episode for Roger.
It's like he's drowning in silence. And he has that same 1,000-yard stare in his eyes.
Brianna, in turn, is suffering because she's not sure she'll ever have Roger back, and what does that mean for her? And she's also had her own trauma that she's had to deal with, and it was interesting to kind of see how they both dealt with it in their own way and trying to get to each other and what pulls them ultimately both out.
We show that Brianna has done everything in her power to be patient, but there's a moment where you have to make that decision. Is it tough love time?
Right.
Brianna has to say, you need to let us help you and get out of it.
You're still the man I married, and I want him back. Please.
And then Roger goes on his journey, and then we also wanted to show throughout this silent picture of what brings him out. And once he's clear in his thoughts and clear in his mind, when this movie kind of trickles over into a contemporary, color film, he realizes the one thing that's clear in his mind is Brianna and his love for Brianna. It was, I think, cinematic.
Yeah, and it's definitely outside the box
It is.
for something we normally do, but also bringing back young Ian early, which also is a nice parallel to what Roger's going through. What young Ian is struggling with, we don't know specifically, and we've kind of held off fully diving into that.
But they're two lost souls, and putting them together to kind of help mend each other was something that we discussed a lot. And young Ian is very stoic and reserved and not talkative. So the worry was, hey, we're getting these guys out in the wilderness not talking to each other. What are those scenes going to be like? But the dynamic between the two of them really, I think, just shines.
But also these two men are bonded for life anyway.
Yeah.
Just from last season, having seen one kind of sacrifice himself for the other. So that bond is something that hopefully will carry on. Episode 509 is called Monsters and Heroes, and this is a great iconic moment in the book when Jamie gets bitten by a snake and a buffalo appears at Fraser's Ridge.
Episode 9 was a challenging episode for a lot of reasons. We film in the UK, and there's not a lot of buffalo in the UK, so, but yay, we found buffalo in the UK, and we went down to a buffalo farm and filming buffaloes running from here and there and there and there, moving green screens around, and we put one of our crew members, we draped him in a big fur buffalo coat and made him walk the path of the buffalo.
Sophie, who had to act with
Yes.
our buffalo stand-in, and which is always hard to do, making yourself not laugh, but she did a great job.
I love the moment when young Ian unloads on Jamie.
I never thought I'd see the day I'd be ashamed of you, Uncle.
And even young Ian's conversation with Fergus talking about life if you did have to have an amputation, and it is a full life.
We should be there for him when he needs us.
And Jamie comes to that realization on his own. I want to be around.
I think Jamie Fraser doesn't want to disappoint people. And the look in Ian's face that he could possibly have disappointed him like that. Young Ian comes back and says,
I'm sorry, Uncle. I didn't mean what I said to you before.
You're right to say it.
I really kind of love that dynamic between the two of them. The iconic moment for me in this is when Jamie says,
Now, if you take my leg and I'll be in a state to stop it.
there was always that question would she agree? I asked them not to show that, because given the choice of losing Jamie or cutting off his leg, I personally think she would cut his leg off. That's the dilemma for her, which is a great dilemma for her character, is I'll do it, and I know I'll do it, but he will hate me for it, and will I lose his love for it? If that's not drama, I don't know what is. And Katrina portrays this beautifully. You feel for Claire. You just go, my God, what a decision.
This episode gave us such a great chance to have some really lovely moments with Jamie and Claire. And I got really teary about, when Claire thinks Jamie has died on her. It's just, I really,
You're crying right now.
I know. I think Sam and Katrina did such a great job with those scenes, and you just felt once again and are reminded of this great, amazing love story between these two.
Whether we're together or apart, I will always love you.